up YouTube? Jeff back again, and today we're getting into the Galaxy S21 Ultra coverage. I'm going to be talking about the first 10 things to do when you get your device. A lot of people getting the phone either yesterday or this weekend, and this video has always been very popular with different phones, so I figured I'd bring it back. So let's get right into it. The very first thing that you want to do when you get your phone, this is something that people often skip in the setup, even though it's offered to you in the setup phase on the Samsung devices. If you go into biometrics and security, you want to make sure you add your fingerprint in there to get your biometric security going. Obviously, again, this is something that they do go through in the setup phase, but sometimes people are so excited to set up their new phone that they forget to go through and do this. I recommend adding, obviously at least a couple of fingers. Probably want to add both of your thumbs, maybe even index finger. You can also go into more biometric settings. You can turn on or off the unlock transition effect, and then also check your biometric security patch level. So this is obviously something just to keep your phone protected as you're using it, and it's something that you'll probably want no matter who you are using a Samsung device. The next thing that I recommend is to get yourself a case and probably some of these guys, the microfiber cloths, to wipe down the back of this. The eye roller that I also have used many times also works for the front, but this phone gets very fingerprinty. Even the mat on the back gets very fingerprinty with the Galaxy S21 Ultra. I've only had it for 48 hours, but you've even noticed in that short time that it gets very fingerprinty over time. So obviously then a case is also a good option. Or, if you're not a huge case fan, something like a square trade warranty or insurance through your carrier or through Samsung themselves can be useful. I'm using the Spec Mist case. Looks pretty nice case. It's got a matte back on it, so it kind of matches the matte sort of feel of the Galaxy S21 Ultra. And it also has a nice fit for the camera cutout on the S21 Ultra. I've always liked these cases, pretty standard case with a raised up front. So if you like to slam your phone down face forward, you don't have to worry about it. They've always also been pretty durable, and Spec has really supported my channel since the beginning. So I really appreciate them sending out some cases. I'll drop a link below if anyone is interested in any of these cases. But I'm gonna actually go and make this the next thing here. That is getting a custom wallpaper. So you guys can see I have a nice customized wallpaper right here. And lots of you guys know that I like to use backdrops. So if you wanna get a nice wallpaper for your phone, of course, the Samsung phones come with some standard wallpapers, but I always like to grab one that's customized, to my liking. There's a lot of ones on the community page on backdrops, also in the Explore tab. And then there are some paid ones. This one I'm using is from the Pro Pack right there at the top left corner. And then another one of my favorite paid packs is the AMOLED pack, which looks great on Samsung phones. And also, just as another tip, if you have an all black background, that can save you a little bit of battery life with the AMOLED display. So just keep that in mind when you're picking a wallpaper if you want to get some extra battery savings, which could be important with this phone because it does have the adaptive 120 Hertz refresh rate, and you can also run that at the maximum resolution, which you haven't been able to do with the previous Samsung devices. So that does drain a little bit of battery, and I'll talk about that in a future video. Since we're talking about it, we might as well go into the fourth thing and talk about display settings a little bit. Go into settings and then go to display, and you'll find the aforementioned motion smoothness setting, which is set to the adaptive setting right there by default. Get smoother animations and scrolling by automatically adjusting your screen refresh rate up to 120 Hertz. Now, if you want to save some battery life, you can go ahead and turn that off to standard, and you'll just have 60 Hertz refresh rate all the time. But of course, given that you paid so much money for this Galaxy S21 Ultra, and this is one of the really big selling features of it, you probably do want to turn that on. And then the other thing is you can turn your screen resolution. This is actually set to FHD Plus by default. I went ahead and turned it all the way up to 3200 by 1440 so that I could go ahead and basically run the full adaptive refresh with the full resolution and kind of see how that goes in terms of battery life. So it does have the most battery use so far. It has definitely been using a little more battery than I've noticed on my Note 20 Ultra. So it is something to keep in mind. But those are two settings you probably want enabled if you want to get the maximum experience from your very expensive phone. And again, it's one of the upselling features for the top tier model in the S21 lineup. The fifth thing that you might want to customize is also under display settings. If you head down to the navigation bar, you can choose to either use swipe gestures or the old school buttons. You can also determine if you want to use the gestures in different ways. So if you go into more options, You can either do swipe from the sides and bottom, which is the default for Samsung, or just swipe from the bottom. You can also adjust the gesture sensitivity. You can also change sort of the ordering of how things go. You can show gesture hints. And then new, because of course the Galaxy S21 Ultra works with the S Pen, you can now block gestures with the S Pen. So that's something else that you might want to consider doing if you're going to be using the S Pen very often, just enabling that feature so that you don't accidentally trigger any gestures from the left or the right when you're using your S Pen to write on the screen. The next thing I would recommend is if you bought a carrier model, this won't apply to everybody. Some people buy direct from Samsung. I did get a nice unit from Verizon for me to check out, so it does have some stuff that you may not want on it. Of course, unlocked is always great if you can, but if I can get a review unit, I don't mind getting it from a carrier. Obviously, it's a nice thing to be able to go in and disable all that bloat. There's quite a bit of bloat that comes installed on the Verizon model. There's like 10 or 15 games I had to uninstall. There's also Microsoft apps, which some people probably don't want. I use some of those. And there's also like 4 or 5 Verizon apps, but a lot of those can be disabled. I only kept a couple there, like the Messages Plus and some of their other proprietary software. Some other things like Disney Plus, Spotify, Facebook come preloaded, but a lot of those things I already use, so it's really not a big deal. But some of those things you may want to disable. You can go in here, and just long press on an app. Like if you want to get rid of it, Spotify comes standard, you can just uninstall it. And then the other thing you might want to do is to order your folders in a really nice way by going into sort and then changing to alphabetical order, which I don't remember if that's the default anymore. It used to not be on Samsung devices. I think that it may be the default now. I copy over my settings from my Note 20 Ultra, but I definitely prefer the order where it has alphabetical order versus the newest apps, which is what they used to do on Samsung phones. It's just a lot more annoying because, who wants to go in and look by when the app was added? You want to look by the name of the app. The next setting I would recommend taking a look at is under lock screen. Check out Always On Display. Always On Display is very useful. A lot of people like it. It's a feature that's become kind of standard on Samsung devices where you can either tap to show always, or show as scheduled. You can show clock information, notifications, music information, all those sorts of things. And it's definitely something nice to have all the information at your fingertips. Really doesn't drain as much battery life as you might think. A lot of people think, oh, Always On Display is going to drain a ton of battery life. With the Samsung AMOLED panels, it really doesn't drain that much life, and it gives you a lot of information at your fingertips. So I actually like to keep it on always, but it is turned off by default, so you want to go in there and turn that on if you want to use it. The next thing is another feature that's sort of unique to Samsung devices. If you go into display again, scroll down, you'll find the Edge panels screen. Edge panels are something that Samsung's had around for quite a while. People quite like them just because there's something that's a little unique about Samsung devices compared to other Android OEMs. You can go in here and modify the panels that you want to include, like apps, smart assist, tools, live messages, people, tasks, weather, reminders, clipboard. You can also in the Galaxy Store get some customized versions of these to include if you want. So this is, like I said, something that's just useful. And also they changed it now so that you can actually change the position and color of the handle along with transparency and size. So basically that refers to, how big the swipe out on this side is for the Edge panel, how much room you have to have in order to swipe. So that way, if you accidentally swipe in a lot, then you won't accidentally activate the Edge panel. You can determine where it is and sort of what the size is on the side. The next thing I would recommend going in and do is adjusting the eye comfort shield settings, which is the old blue light filter. If you swipe into your quick settings, you can go here, long press on the eye comfort shield. And you might want to change this to a custom setup to when it turns on, turns off. And you can also change the temperature as well that it adjusts to if you want it a little bit warmer at night, and as well set up the schedule here if you want it to go from sunset to sunrise wherever you are, or a custom schedule depending on when you go to bed. This is just a really nice feature because, of course, that at the end of the day, if you're tired trying to read in bed, it really does put a lot of strain on your eyes with the blue light. This way you can sort of take care of that and extend the longevity of your eyes. The last thing was something that you guys just saw as I swiped up there. I got to set up my actual card information, but the next thing I recommend doing is setting up the Samsung Pay on your device. So Samsung Pay, you can just swipe up from the home screen and add your cards right here. You guys can see my Samsung account ID. That's my same email that's for my YouTube contacts. So Not really a problem. But you guys can set up your Samsung Pay with your cards. One thing that's a downer is that the Galaxy S21 Ultra did lose the MST technology to pay without NFC, which, is kind of a downer. I'm going to talk about that in another video. Some people are disappointed, but there's a lot of other things you can keep. Loyalty cards, you can get rewards. Samsung Pay is still pretty good. I think it's probably better than Google Pay, at least in my opinion. So it's probably something that you want to set up on your Samsung device. All right, so those are my first 10 things to do, the first 10 things that I'd recommend doing right out of the box. Like I said, the Samsung Pay, I just didn't want to show all my card information, so I went ahead and reset that so I can show you guys sort of what it looks like when you swipe up. Getting a case, like I said, setting up your biometric security, all those various display settings to take advantage of the device and customize them to your liking. I'll have some various future videos on tips and tricks, including the S Pen, my S Pen, and I also ordered the case is en route to me to give it a try. I'll have some follow-up videos as well. Let me know what you guys want to see covered about the Galaxy S21 Ultra. Should also have the regular Galaxy S21 coming up soon. I appreciate you guys checking out the video. If you follow me on Twitter and also on Instagram, the link's in the description. I really appreciate it. Please like, comment, subscribe for future content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching.